everybody, it's Kate Richburg. Happy Saturday. It's time for Saturday Stitch In. Here I am sitting at my desk, ready to stitch in. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm like, why is this funny? It's because I've got this earbud in my ear. Hang on, let me get that out of my ear. I'm like, why can't I hear? That's probably why. All right, I think that's everyone. I think you can hear me okay. I've got my other earbud in. Let's see. All right. Well, it's great. Everyone's here. Thank you so much. I see that it is Canadian Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. I always forget that Canadian Thanksgiving is a little bit earlier than US Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to our dear neighbors to the north. Janice is on her class. I'm going to text her right now and say, we are on, so jump on anytime. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for her there. And that's that. Okay. Yes, I've got so much to go over this morning. We're going to go over the bag classes launched, and I see there was a couple of questions about that. Debbie, you've signed up already. I'm going to talk to you about that because the kits are going to be coming soon. What else? I've got a couple of little resources I'm going to share with you. We are going to look at the bead embroidery. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about glue. There's all kinds of stuff we're going to go over today. Let me grab my coffee here. And then I'll wait for Janice also to text me. She was saying she was having such a great time with her gathering friends. They're having such a great time. They did their combs and everything this morning. So since Janice lives so close to where they're meeting, she called me this morning and I'm like, what are you doing in the car? Aren't you supposed to be with your class? And she goes, yeah, I'm running home to get pearl knotting supplies because we're going to pearl knot this afternoon. So I just love it. I just love it. So they are merrily hanging out. They're going to start doing some pearl knotting. So hopefully Janice will be able to jump on sometime so everyone can say hello from her East Coast gathering. Let me talk to you first about a couple of resources that I have to share with you. You know that last week, I was visiting my friends on the East Coast. And we had such a great time. It was my friends, they used to own a bead shop in Princeton, New Jersey, Barbara and Steve Schreiber. And they've stayed my friends ever since. And they have two kids. One's a year older than me. One's like a couple of years younger. So we've also remained friends. And so Rob, their younger son, runs this really great, and you've heard me talk about it before. Where is the book? Here it is. He runs this great place called the Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice. Let me add this to the stage right here. Hang on, let me do that. And so what I did while I was there, they were debuting. Let me take my calendar off my desk so you don't see my long to-do list. How about that? Let me do that. So what they were doing is they were debuting their online archive for Bayard Rustin. And if you go over to rustincenter.org, you can take a look at the online archive, learn all about Bayard and what he did for the civil rights movement, all of that. It's really great. So anyway, the archive debuted on their first Friday, which was amazing. So since I happened to be there on first Friday, what I did was I did a little activity where I stamped some blanks with different words for people. I donated all the supplies and the materials. It was really, really fun. And so we made a lot of necklaces. I must have stamped, I don't know, 50 or 60 in like the 2 hours I was there. It was great. So you can go on, you can learn a little bit more about the Rustin Center, but they also have books and stuff. And so Dr. Sarah, who is Rob's kind of cohort in this, she gifted me this really great embroidery book, and I should put it on our archive, on our Amazon storefront, actually. And it's called Represent Embroidery, and it's projects with all types of shapes, skin tones, and hair textures for hand embroidery. And I've been doing a lot of, hand embellishing, hand embroidery. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about sewing is that sewing allows you, the sewer, to create however it is you want to look, or whatever it is you want to wear, or whatever it is you want to carry, right? Whatever. So sewing itself, I think, is an act of maybe not social justice, but empowerment, right? And so I also thought that this book was also super empowering because it shows, I'm 59 years old. I'm a 59-year-old woman who is not as skinny as she used to be, right? It is not as smooth, right, as I used to be. But you know what? Who cares, right? I love that we're able to represent ourselves in an honest, straightforward, and truthful way, but also in the way that you want to be seen, right? So I want to just flip through. Sorry, I'm trying to get this cord out of my way. Oh, whoops, that went awry. Hang on. Hold on. Let me pull that over. There we go. I think that's better. So I just wanted to flip this through. So a big shout out, a big thank you for Dr. Sarah for gifting me this. It was really cool. It's called Represent Embroidery. I'll put it on our storefront. And it, and it's signed. I didn't even realize it was signed. That's awesome. And it really shows a lot of cool stuff about like applique. Like, look at this cool applique piece, right? Isn't that cool? Like, appliquing clothing. It also shows this really cool thing about hair, which I love. And it shows all kinds of different hair textures, which is really cool. And it also shows some really, I love this piece. Let me see here. There's a really cool, there's some really cool projects in here. The one that I'm looking for is, here we go. This, I really, really love this. This is like that applique with clothing over the top. It's kind of like, when we were playing on like we were talking yesterday about color forms, or if we were playing with like paper dolls or whatever. But wouldn't this kind of applique art, I think, is really, really cool. So I don't know. I didn't even really know that a book like this existed. And I'm so grateful. Look at this one. Look at this with that hair with flowers and stuff, right? And it really got me thinking. It has a lot of like really cool templates and stuff on here, which I love. Lots of different body shapes. It's just really cool, you know? And so it just makes it really accessible. And so I was thinking about that when I was doing like this Frida patch. And again, another big shout out to my friend Laura Wheeler, who I learned this from. And I took some process photos along the way when I was teaching this. But she really allowed me and gave me permission to like experiment, right? And it was pretty cool. So kind of her tutelage kind of allowed me to arrive kind of at this painting. I'd done face painting before, right? I've done theater makeup. We used to do face painting at the Santa Clara County Fair. I've done painting for, you know, like theatrical flats, painting, scene painting. But I've done doll stuff, right? But I've never really done something like this. And so taking a look at like the embroidery in here and the different, like, especially the hair. I don't know, hair to me is so, I don't know, interesting and important and right like that. And so, so Laura's awesome. So, and it's Lora, Laura Wheeler. And you can find her if you go to the Fresno Fiber Arts Guild. Let me put, yeah, my mom, I know, lots of doll faces. I'm going to put the Fresno Fiber Arts Guild in the chat here. Let me get back to here. Oh, I hate this part when I have too many tabs open. Here we go. So here's the Fiber Arts Guild. So you can see I am teaching a class there in next year. I think it's April. I'm teaching one of my bag classes, right? Which will be fun. We've got all kinds of really terrific classes that are coming up. Oh, and it looks like Janice is popping on too. So you can check it out over there. I would love to entice Laura to come and do an online class with us with her painting because it was so fun. So many of you have picked up this patch, which I'm very grateful for. We're going to do a little bit of embellishing on this too today. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks with that. But I would love Laura to come do a class for us online. You never know. Someone probably from the Fiber Arts Guild is watching and is probably going to tell Laura before I even ask her. So don't scare her. Okay. Don't scare her. Janice looks like she's connected, but JP, if you're watching, maybe go out and come back in. It says here they will need to connect their mic and cam before I add you to the stream. So jump back out and jump back in and we'll see. We also, this is while I'm waiting for Janice to jump on, we also have the bag class that launched today, that launched this morning. It's all under our new link that I made. I want to move my coffee so I don't spill it because I will. Okay. So this bag class, let me grab the link for that. It's right, if you go right on the homepage of beadshop.com, you'll see up at the menu, there is an online class. There's also an online class little box right there. But they're all listed there. I'm going to drop that into the chat here. Right here. There you go. And it's in there. So you can sign up for this bag class. In a couple of weeks, we will have bear with me here just a second here. I'll have the kits available for you. If you want to order the kit, I'm trying to close this up. Hang on a second. Let me do this. Oh, so many things here to do when I am both the talent and the camera person. So the bag kits, as I say, will be available in just a couple of weeks. So I'll show you when those are ready. There's also a materials list. So if you want to provide your own materials for the bag, you can. I'll have a good list of resources for that. And I'll also have the handles available separately as well. So hang tight. But I do have a limited amount of seats in the class. So if you want to enroll, it is on let me just double check the date. I'm clicking over. It is Saturday, December 6th. So go on. That means the class fee entitles you to my original class pattern, tote bag pattern, as well as watching the class for unlimited access, right? What we'll do is we take that class, it'll be uploaded to a secure place, so only those who take the class will have access to it, and you'll have unlimited access. You can watch it, and it'll all be time-stamped and everything, so it'll be really easy for you to kind of shuffle around there and find what you need for that. So yeah, so that's this. There are, as I say, limited seats in the class. So if you want a space, go ahead and enroll. For the bag, the patch is not included. So order a patch if you want that as well. I'm just going to make sure that Janice isn't texting me. Oh, they're going to skip it. Wi-Fi is dodgy. Oh, boo. Oh, well. Well, hang on. It's no problem. Oh, oh well, we will see you next time. And Laura just texted me. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So Janice says her Wi-Fi is dodgy. Boo. So she won't be able to join us. So, you never know what it's going to be like. So Janice, we are sending you a big hello for that. So let's take a look at some of the embroidery stuff I've got for you. But I do recommend you folks jumping on over to take a look. We'd love to see you at a Fiber Arts Guild meeting if you are local. It's great to join. We've got so many great classes, so many fun things. going on there. Okay, so let me show you, what do I want to show you first? Janice, you're getting a lot of, if you folks are watching, everyone's saying have a great class. So that's great. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's take a look at some bead embroidery. Let me do this. Let me move this out of the way. Hang on, let me get this going. Hopefully you can see that. And let me do this. Okay. So let's take a look. There was a couple of questions that you folks had for me about this piece. I don't know what just fell, but hopefully it wasn't too important. We started this little bracelet piece a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of you have gotten your fall mix in and have been playing around with it and wanted to talk a little bit about sequins and stuff like that, right? So I'm going to dump out, this is my fall mix, which is right here. That's here. And I want to share with you just a couple of ways. I've got another, searching through my little bag of stuff here. Here's the piece that I wanted to share with you too. Here is that Frida Fuego and Frida Fiesta kits that we did, that we put together. A lot of this has been stitched, but I also want to show you some gluing. I want to show you some gluing on this. I want to show you, we did some gluing on this. I want to show you some stitching on this. So let's just jump in. One of the things that you can do, this is that cuff. And if you watch the last stitch in, you can see I kind of started to stitch in around this embroidery. But what I did here was I glued that center in like this, right? And that was really, it was really kind of fun to just collage that in. More of these roses are on the way. I'll put them back into stock. So you'll be able to grab those. But these are just gem duos and some 4mm that I put in, and one of these skulls that's just sitting there, okay, that I glued in. So the glue that I used was this one, and I think I may have used diamond glaze for this, to be honest. I could have used the diamond glaze, which works really well. But I also wanted to show you a couple of the glues that we have in our Amazon storefront. One of them being this fabric tack, which I use a lot. You can use this, you can use the diamond glaze that we carry, but these are like permanent glues, okay, that are on here. You can also use things like, if you want this piece, let me say, to be washable, right? Something like this, you'll want to use something permanent. If you just need the glues to tack things down, right, then you can use a white glue like Elmer's, or glue stick like this, and that just kind of temporarily holds things into place until you stitch things down. Okay, so let's take a look at this one first, and then I'll kind of move on to the patch. Now, this is the fall mix that I've got here. So let me do a little bit of stitching on here with some of these sequins. Okay. Oh, I did. I used E6000. Thanks, Alita. You're right. That's what I did. Because the diamond glaze, yes, thank you, will be too stiff. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm going to also grab that E6000. Thanks for keeping me on the straight and narrow with that. Let me grab it. Okay. I've got the E6000. We've got the E6000 in these small little pieces, these little ones. I'm going to get this. I've got the white glue. I think I've got everything that I need here. We'll see. We'll see if this all works. There we go. So I want to show you, whoops, it's kind of tight around my desk here. And I think I've got a bunch of stuff going on here. Do I have enough of this thread? I do. So let me, oh, I did. I had to open a brand new tube, and the tube is right here. So thank you. So many glues, so little time, right? So let me come in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to this center, and I'm just going to stitch in, and see my needle goes right through that E6000. I am going to add, let me see, let me add one of these. There's a lot of interesting sequins in this mix. I'm just going to put 2 down, right? And you can put them down, you know, mix it up, whatever. Here's like this little star. I'm going to pick up an 11-aught, go down and through. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And tighten. Okay, so see how that just stitches that little piece in place, right? So let me stitch in. Let me go over here. I'm going to add, maybe I'll go here. And maybe I'll make this symmetrical. Maybe what I do on this side, I'll do on this side. I don't know. I don't know. Depends on what you like. So let me get this. Let me get, kind of like this layering. This square one, this flower one, and this 11-aught. Right? So look at how I've kind of stacked that. I kind of put it in place where I want it. And then I'm going to stitch all the way back down. Okay? Like that. Okay. And I like kind of that layered look. And this is on that center line. When I did this last week, you saw me kind of working on that center line. So that's where I'm going to be here. Let's just pop down, I don't know, I'm going to put a 10-aught there, an 8-aught there. Like that. And maybe, I kind of like the way that looks. I'll put my needle over here. It's kind of going through a little bit of the dried glue. So if you need, you know, I don't really have a, there we go. I just kind of use my bead board to push it through. But you can also use your not tweezers, your pliers, like this. Okay, so we're just stitching that on. Now I'll go over here. And I don't know, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. I don't know why I'm thinking it needs to be, just because the center motif is even, right? We don't have to do that, right? Here's this. We'll go through here. And we'll go through here. So there's that one. And we'll do this. This way. Okay. So there's that. So now, let me go to this side. Well, I'm just going to take a literal stab at it and go right here. Let's put on another sequin, right? There's a lot of these sequined shapes here. Let me put on this flap. This is kind of the same color. It doesn't really want to show there. So maybe I'll keep that for something else. Let me just take that off. Here's one. That's a opaque, not transparent, right? So let's say that maybe you wanted to like sew these in a line, sort of, right? What I would do is I'd sew this down kind of like that, right? So see how let me get a little closer. So I'll come in, I'll do that, and I'll kind of measure it by eye. And maybe I'll get one that's another color, like this. Right? Line it up. Have it go down like this. Then come up. See, so we're stitching them in kind of a line. There's a question here. Cindy says, Kate, if I were to attach that micro suede to a stiff backing. So Cindy, what would you be using it for? Would it be like, what's the intended use? That will inform my decision a little bit better. I think maybe I can use one of these that are more transparent now. Let's see what that looks like. Oops, I think I stitched that in the wrong place. Hang on. No, I didn't. I just need to pull it up. There we go. That's right. So see how I'm getting that little line of flowers right there? Oh, I see. So you want it to be stiffer to stitch on. Is that right? Let me see if I have it here. Hang on. Hold that thought. I don't know that I do. Oh, no. Let's just see. So I had this. Let me show you this. And Maria, I'm using KO right now for this. I love the KO for this. I've waxed it for stitching. And I think it looks great. I think it works really, really well. Let me zoom out. So remember when I did the base for the Gatsby bangle? I used this kind of needlepoint thing, this needlepoint hoop. And I think I put it in, I linked it, I guess. I think it's in our Amazon storefront. So that this was tight, right, and stiff. Let me just open this up. Let me see if I can do that. Let me do this. We could maybe even put, because what I think I did was I either glued it or I stitched it on this backing. This is like that 1-inch backing. But I could also get this into, right, let me see if I can. I think I could get it here. There we go. Maybe if I open it just a little bit more. Can I open it up? Oh, here we go. Yeah, this splits open like this. See that there? There we go. Yeah, I like this frame. It wasn't very expensive. I think it's in our Amazon store. Another place to find the Amazon store, because I put a lot of class stuff in there. If you go to Bead Shop and you go to, let me link it. If you go to Bead Shop and you go here, online class kits and supplies, there's a little link that takes you right over to our Amazon storefront. Go back here and there it is. Oh, good. And you did say it was here. Great. Really easy to use, and see how this just goes right inside here like this. And then you do the other side, right? Like that. And you can kind of roll it. You'd undo both sides here and you'd kind of roll it to stiffen it up. Okay. So it would definitely, I think, be easier to stitch with this, right? And I'll add the embroidery book. It's called Represent Embroidery. It's right there. right there. Let me see if I can get it over there. There it is. Let's see. Hang on just a second. I am going to put it in. Hang on. Let me just get it in there, because if I don't do it like today, I won't do it. Let me see, where do I want to put it? Oh, that's the Christmas in July project. I'm going to put it under sewing stuff. Okay, and then maybe I'll move it, but let me see if I can edit that and see if I can find it. See if I can put it in just real quick. Bear with me here just a second. Yeah, it's not letting me want to do it. Never mind. I will do it after the show. Thanks for being patient with me. I can't do it all. Okay. All right. So let me hide that comment. So you kind of get this idea with this. All right. Let me move this along. And so what we can also do is we can come in and we can embellish these little sequins along. Let me go here. Let me get a little tighter in there. Okay. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to embellish like these 3 sequins that are right here. So I'm going to come up. I actually want this sequin to be a little closer to there. So I'm going to come up to this sequin. These have some like longer bugle beads in here. And I can cover that stitch. I can come back up. Sorry, I need to get this in my focal range here. There we go. I can get another bugle, same color, different color. Maybe I'll get this one and then go down. So you can kind of stitch along over the top like that little motif. Then I can come back up. If it feels like it's not quite sitting the way you like it, I can go through like this and go back down. Okay. And you can just kind of then continue. If I come here, let me go right here. You kind of have to visualize it, go by eye, but there's my needle. Kind of visualize the size of the sequin. Oh, Thanks, Lorraine. This bead board was from way back in the day, the bead and button days, which they gave these to their instructors, which was kind of cool. Oh, here's a whole pile of sequins that are kind of stuck together. Can I unstick them? I can. Let me get this one. I'll come up. I'll go back down. And then I'll come up. Like this. And then you can add, again, another bugle. Here's like a shorter, like a kind of an 8 cut. You could also use a couple of seed beads. There's 1, 2, and 3. I'm just going to use them randomly and go down like that, right? Oh, there's Christine. Hi, Christine. How you doing? See how these aren't staying where I want them to? So remember how Emily taught us how to do couching? So I'm going to come up in the middle of where that flower is, that hole. Right there. Come on. Right there, like that. And I'm going to come around and then I'm going to go back through that flower hole. Sorry, I'll try and stay in frame. There we go. And see, it went, and it just tightens it and it makes it nice and straight like that. Okay. So you can just kind of continue. Look at how fun those sequins look on there, right? Don't worry, my hands, I'm okay. My hands are okay. I won't get them. My hands are pretty sure with this needle. Let me get that knot out of there. Okay. Thanks, Deborah. I love the mix of these beads too. They felt very fall to me. So let's just keep going. I'm going to come in. Let me just, I'm just going to kind of randomly stitch. And some of you may find this to be a bit easier with the stiffer backing. This obviously is not going to be symmetrical, right? I'm just going to do these in little clusters, right? Why not? The Gatsby cuff worked out well, so why shouldn't this? There's a 4mm. So I'm going to lay some large ones in there. Let me scoot back just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now there's a little bit of a hole in there. Let me get some 11/0 or something that's small. I've got smaller ones in here. This gold KO is also a perfect match for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to go across kind of right there, I think. So I visually kind of match that length to where the length is here. Okay. There we go. It bunches up a little bit, but I'm okay with that. Let me go over in here. Okay. Now, Then we're gonna, let me bring my needle up. Then I'm gonna grab the cuff and we're gonna see how this looks. Because this has to go around a curve. So I wanna make sure that I am on the right track with this. So here's this, let me go across over here. Yeah, I think the gold KO is working out okay, right? There is a turquoise chip. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to our local fabric store, Authorized Vac and Sew. There are more great classes there. You can look up Authorized Vac and Sew in Fresno. They have a lot of terrific classes. Laura also teaches there. They have a lot of other really great classes. Really great place where they sell a lot of great sewing machines. That's where I got my embroidery machine. But they're a really great small business that is celebrating 50 years here in the town of Fresno. Laura teaches several classes there. I know she teaches a quilted coat class, which is really interesting. There's a lot of really wonderful classes there. So you folks can find them there, Authorized Vac and Sew, right here in Fresno. Great place for classes, right? If you want to take something in person. There are a few, look at this one has a little stripey in there. I love that little stripey bead. There we go. So see, I've laid out these kind of symmetrical pieces there, and I'm just kind of filling in. No, Margaret, JoJo does all of her own stuff. Seams Perfect Sew. Great place is on Instagram, I think, to find her. JoJo just kind of does her own thing, has her own business that way. Where's the cuff? Let me go grab a cuff. Let me just put this right here so you can see that. No, Authorized Vac and Sew, or AVS is what we call it for short. They are terrific. They carry a lot of great fabrics, have a really comprehensive program for embroidery machines, stuff like that. So it's really great. Let me see if I can find their link and I'll toss it in the chat. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Hang on. Let me get that. Let me do this. Let me do this. And let me drop it in the chat. There we go. It's right there. Okay. Here's the cuff. So you can see, yeah, this is going to be just fine coming around it, curving around. Okay, looks good. Looks good. So I'll just kind of continue to fill that in, checking. We're going to back it kind of like Emily did with her cuff as well. But let me show you a couple of things on the patch that I did. Where is it? Here we go. So this is like the one you're going to get from me. Okay. And let's scoot it back. And in these Frida kits, we still have a few left. You've got a bunch of stuff here. Okay. And I want to do, you can do some sewing on this, right? Embellishing. You can stitch right through this, or you can hand sew, or you can glue, or, you know, like you can get things kind of ready to embellish like with this. So let me just show you. I'm going to use this piece of ribbon that was in this Frida kit. I'm just going to use it on the top here, and I think I'm going to put it all the way across the top, right? I'm going to come in. This is that glue stick. It's purple when it goes on, but it dries clear. So don't freak out that this is all purple. I use glue stick a lot. I'm just using my picture for the back. I probably should be doing this on this plastic baggie so I can go all the way to the edges there. Okay. So there it is. And I'll come in and I'm going to glue that down. Now, this is going to have to get stitched down somehow, right? But for now, it's on here, so I can work with it, right? I'm going to clip away some of that. It's a little bit extra right there, but look at how cool that looks up there. I also have some other stuff in this. I'm going to cut 2 of these. I'm going to glue these on too. Don't think about it too much. Do I want it to go this way? Sure. How about just like that? Let me get my baggie. It's also a good place for it up there. I think I like it up there. Get my glue. You can also use white glue, Elmer's white glue, for this. Before I put it on this backing, I'm going to kind of reshape it back. I'm going to clip it, you know, trim it, is what I'm trying to say. Trim it here. And I'm going to put it here. Okay, and push it down. There are no wrong answers here. Here's my gluey bag. You can also kind of, when you put the lid back on here, you can kind of use this as a roller to roll it down nicely. Other stuff you get in this patch, maybe I'll put one of these skulls down here, right? I'm going to, maybe I'll use this green one, and I'm not going to worry about it fraying, because that's kind of part of the look of what I'm doing. Like that. And like that. Okay. So maybe I'll put this since it kind of ends right there, right? I'll put that there. Let me get my sticky bag so I find a place that doesn't have glue all over it. I like using the glue stick for this, and it doesn't matter that it's the purple because it dries clear. If any of you do English paper piecing or hexagon things, you use a glue stick to kind of glue everything down. So see here, right? I've got all that glue stick on the back. It's drying clear already. I just want to peel it off and place it where I want it to go. Okay, I'll put the lid back on my glue stick, and my glue stick will help me roll that down. Okay. You also get this backing fabric. Do I want a little strip of this? Maybe I do. Let me show you what I've got over here. I use this all the time in my quilting. I have here, this is a rotary cutting mat that rotates around. Let me make sure that it's in. Hang on a second. Here's the back. Make sure that's in. There we go. Okay. So it's a rotating mat. So when you're cutting and you don't want to have to move your piece, the mat itself rotates. Can you see that? Like that. Okay. It's a handy thing. I just actually got one not that long ago. It's not a super must-have, but it's kind of handy. I've kind of liked it. So I am going to cut this up. I'm going to use, I kind of want like this little edge here, that motif. So I'm just going to rotary cut it like that. Oops. Might be time for a new blade. And let me turn this. I know I love this rotary. I might have it in, I've got it in all the cutting tools. I'll add it after the broadcast. Go to the Amazon store and I'll link all of this stuff. This one, it's so handy. Yeah, I need a fresh blade. I took my blades out of my little box and I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they are, to be honest. But so here we go. Here's this, and maybe I will just put this kind of along the bottom there. I think it kind of balances that stripe off. This kind of balances there. So let me go ahead and get my glue stick. Glue this down. I keep using this as my backing. I need to knock that off. And I don't want to use this to get glue on it. Hang on. Here's another baggie. I don't want to be too slapdash, but I do want my glue. And you can use like, I don't know, magazine paper, anything that's glossy, right? Magazine sheets, that kind of thing too. But I want this glue to kind of go all the way to the edge so it'll seal. Okay, then I'll take that out. I'll put this down. And you can do this with any kind of, fabric piece, right? I'll put that down. And then I'll roll her down here. Okay. So let's take a look. Let me open. This is some of the little embellishment pieces that I used on the kit. I love, let me move her. We could use these leaves there as earrings, right? We've got these flowers, so we could put the flowers along her hair. We don't have to put it through every single one. We could do 2 like that. Whatever you want to do. These leaves are kind of fun. We could add the leaves along here. I could add that butterfly up here. I think these come with the rhinestone things that you get are all kind of different. So you could kind of collage them this way. What I would do is I would come in and I would stitch all of this stuff on first, and then I'd come back in and maybe glue or stitch these on. But first, what I would want to do is I would want to get all the fabric that I want on here on first. There's also like this thicker piece. There's this. Maybe I just want to cut out like a little square of this, maybe. But I'm really excited about my tote bag pattern that I do. It's one that my mom and I have been making for a long time. And it's a real kind of fail-safe kind of pattern to use. It gets all enclosed on the inside, and it really, you'll be able to do a lot with it. You'll be able to kind of take it and kind of make it your own. That's my goal for you. Kind of like with this amazing class that I took with Laura. I was able to kind of, learn this technique and kind of, make it my own. So that's my goal for you folks, especially with, these techniques and things that we share and teach. It's great to kind of learn the technique and then adapt it to your own personal style. We're always learning. There is nothing new under the sun here. So I'm just so grateful to have had so many great instructors and teachers in my life. Okay, so see, here's that little piece that just sits right there, right? Look at how great that looks. I feel like maybe I need like a small little square or a little something that goes there to just counterbalance it. So let me do that. Let me put this over here. Let me measure. I'll go 1 inch in like this. We will do that. Yeah, this definitely needs a new blade. And I will go ahead and I'll just make a little, see how I'm lining it up with that grid. I'm going to make that 1 inch square, and then maybe I'll make one more 1 inch square, about like that. Okay. Then I think I'll put that there and that there. Maybe I'll do 2. Okay. And those are great for like focals about, where you want to embellish over the top of that. If it starts to lift, you can add a little bit more glue, but this is going to be stitched down. I'm just going to use my glue stick as a roller. Seems to work out pretty well. We do have some fringe, not fringe, but we do have some tassels. Let me see what I have here on the back end. Bear with me here just a second. While I'm looking, and while you're looking at this before I glue this down, Miranda asked me to mention, and I want to make sure that I do. I don't know, there may have been a change in some kind of the algorithms or something, but we have been getting a few bounce backs from our emails that we have been sending out from info.beadshop@gmail.com. Make sure if you are waiting for a reply from us, because we are caught up with our emails. I know, miracle of miracles. It may be that we are getting a bounce back email from you. What we do is then we try and send it through another email, like from kate.beadshop or our shipping email or whatever. But make sure, my friends, that you put info.beadshop@gmail.com on your safe senders list so that that our emails get through. It doesn't happen all the time, but this week we've had several come back that we've had to kind of re-email again. I'm going to go grab a tassel. So bear with me here, okay? It's a good time to screenshot those. Let me get the tassels. We've got a bunch of them. We haven't used these in a while, and they come in pairs. I'm going to use this one. I'll tell you what color. Tassels are under like the fiber things, I think. These are called the fancy tassels. And they are in, if we go to the home page, let me just look at this. These are these right here. Fancy tassel. Let me look on the back here. This one is the dark plum, is this one. And they're in charms and pendants, which is kind of bizarre. I will also put them, sometimes it gets a little hard to find things. Let me go under shop. Let me go to, I'm also going to put them under fabric and fiber. Oh no, they're there. Fabric and fiber. The tassels are there. That's where they are. That's good. Let me put this link in so you folks can find it. This and this. There we go. Yeah, the way that we did, I'll tell you, there's a question about did I freehand the face or whatever. Laura really taught us a lot of really cool tricks. She's very, very gifted at painting. But she talked a little bit about basics, about what we did was we kind of drew the head and then we kind of drew the body and we did it all on paper. And then she talked about how you split the face up and everything. Um, and then, so you do that and then you kind of get that where you want it. Then you transfer it. My original is on a piece of canvas paper that was really amazing. And then you kind of transferred it. She had us cut it out and she taught us how to cut the head and then tilt it. It was really this amazing process that I would have never been able to do without her tutelage for sure. And then she really just had us paint. And it was pretty amazing. So yeah, then we kind of laid things out and then we just jumped in and painted. And everybody's piece really was amazing. I'll ask her if it's okay for me to share like a couple of the resources that she shared with us because it was her class, so I don't want to reteach her class to you, but she had a couple of resources for us to look at. I know it was really, really freeing and really fun to do. I've not really had, it was such an interesting experience as a student. I'm going to talk and work at the same time because she really, she was just like, just do it, paint it, get in there, and so kind of like what I do when I tell you to do kind of your freeform stuff, to kind of, get in there and play with it, and not to worry about the results so much and really enjoy the process. Everybody's pieces came out so beautifully. If you go to the Fresno Fiber Arts Guild to our Instagram, there are some posts there about it that I posted from our Insta. So yeah, it was really an amazing experience. I really want to try it again and do some other pieces. And it really, it just has a print of it. So yeah, maybe she will do this again for the Fresno Guild. It was kind of a one-off. If she teaches it anywhere else, I will certainly share with you her class links. But it was really amazing. She's such a multi-talented artist. I'm very, very lucky to have her in my fiber group and in my friend group. So here we are. So here's this. Okay, so we've done this base, right? Everything is glued down. It's still pretty, easy to kind of move around and stuff, right? Still fairly supple. So these are the plum. I don't know if that's the best color. Let me get a couple of colors. We've got a lot of different colors, so let me look. Those are the purple ones. Whoops, sorry, my chair caught on there. Here's some blue ones. Let me see. Oh, we've got a bunch. It's olive. We've got the mahogany. I love these tassels. I've used them before. You've seen me use them as earrings too. Let me make sure they're all up and running here. Here we go. The olive. Yeah, everything's good. We are all good. Let me go back here. I don't know what color I should use. Is that blue? Is that too much blue? Maybe I'll do this one. I think I like this. Yeah, we've got so much talent in our fiber guild. And again, it's an excellent place for classes. Come, if you're local or if you want to treat yourself, you don't have to be a member to take a class. You do get a discount when you are a member of our guild. So, but all of that info is in that link. So we'd love to have you join us. So let's take a look. I might trim the tassels. I'm not sure. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 inches long, this tassel. So I don't know. Maybe I won't. I think I want to trim it just like a hair. I think I want to trim like an inch off of it, I think. So I'm going to do it. They come in pairs, right? So who cares, right? Let's just see what it looks like. I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to kind of comb it out. It actually needs to go this way. I'm going to use my inch. Here's my inch. Here's this, right? So I'm going to get that and I'm going to stand up for this. I'm going to come in. I'm going to roll that forward. Okay. So if you get these, and if you think, oh my God, that 5-inch tassel is redunculous, it's way too much tassel for me, right? Then just cut it, right? So look, yeah, see, that looks just a little bit better. So yeah, maybe I would put it like right here, sew it on. I'm not going to put it on yet because I want to hand stitch or sewing machine stitch. What my mom says is I would use my sewing machine to trim down the tassels, but a running stitch would work. Sarah Little, when our sweet friend Sarah, she sent me some beautiful things. You saw that brooch. I've been wearing it. She sent me a couple of really thoughtful things for my birthday, which was so kind. But one of them was wrapped in this fabric that I am sure she stitched herself. So I've saved it because I want to use it on something. And this is just a running stitch here. This would also look great on this, right? Wouldn't that look great on here? This trim, I could also do it up there, right? Kind of have it cover a little bit there. So if you can imagine this kind of stitching, we're going to be doing at the Fiber Guild, my friend Debbie Jira is going to be doing a class next year on kind of this Boro type stitching. So if you're interested in this, it would be a great class for you to take. She's very, very gifted. And it's simply this running stitch in a lot of different configurations. So you could get some heavier embroidery floss. Yeah, Japanese quilting, exactly. The sashiko, boro, this type of work, which is so very interesting and satisfying to do. Right. So you could do that same thing with this. What I will probably do is when I stitch this, I will set my stitch kind of long, maybe 4 millimeter, maybe, so that my stitching is a little bit longer. And I might use a little bit of a heavier thread on top with a thinner weight in the bobbin. And stitch. This is plenty thick with this canvas that I put on the back. This is just a roll of canvas that that I've had, that I've put all of these onto. This is also the one that I've washed. I talked about washing your patch. The one that's on my bag that I do, I haven't washed. And you don't have to wash it to embellish or whatever. This is just the sample I had, so I wanted to make sure that it will work, right? So, so yeah, this will be good. I've also got this little piece of felt. I don't know. I could do something. I can embellish like a little something on here or glue it. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I can glue a little kind of collage thing on here, and then we could stitch that on here. I don't know. That might be kind of interesting. Like if we started with something like this. You know, gluing is fun to kind of, we used to do this a lot at Old School Bead Shop. And we would call it, we would do a class, you've heard Janice and I talk about it before, the glitzy earring class, where we used to use those Swarovski crystals, fancy Swarovskis. We used to carry them all. Gosh, those were the days, weren't they? I'm going to make this about 1.5 inches square. And I'm going to do a little bit of puddling on this. This is how I do a lot of times when I do my brooches or my fabric pins. So let's do this. This is kind of dry here. I'm going to use, I guess I'll use the E6000 for this. Where did it go? Come on. There's that glue. There's that one. Here it is. Let me get in a little bit tighter. Right. So let me puddle this. Let me get my, oh, you know what I also want? I want my tweezers. I think I've got tweezers here. Tweezers are going to make this a whole lot easier. I've got some tweezers here. These are like metal smithing tweezers. And the tips might be kind of funny. I really want my pearl knotting tweezers, but they're all the way over there. So I'm just going to use these. Okay. So let me start by puddling. I'm just going to get some E6000. I'm going to put it in a puddle, literally a puddle on this felt. And notice how I'm working on this plastic. I'm going to get one of these little craft sticks. And I think I'm going to use this pink one. I'm going to put that flower down. Now I got to work fast because things are going to start to dry. So I kind of have to just go for it. Right? Let's put a little bit more glue over there. A puddle. Put the lid on. Spread that out a little bit. All right, this is where I need my tweezers. I'm going to get this, that shiny thing. Shove it under the flower. I'm going to cut this sequin in half because it's kind of big. I'm not thinking about it too much. I just felt it was too big, so I had to cut it down. There we go. Bam. Here's a pink one. Feels like this. Got a little bit of glue right here. Don't think about it too much, you guys. Just do it. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to shove that down. I still have a bunch of loose glue right there. So let me get my mix from the fall. Here it is. And I'm just going to start placing things right there. Let me place that sequin. Well, I'm going to toss a couple of beads down there where there's some glue showing. Let me pull this back. There we go. There's a bead under there. Let me put a few beads. You know how I'm going to do it? I'm just going to put a few beads like this. And then I'm going to push them into place. Look at, because that glue is still wet, I think. Yeah, let's see if, and what doesn't hold, just let it shake off. Okay, I've got a little more puddle over here. Can you see that? Yeah, I'll probably put something inside the flower for sure. Let me get a little more fresh glue in there. Where did my E6000 go? Because that might have started to get dry already. So I'm going to get my little stick. You can also get a toothpick or one in there. Right? Kind of put that there. Let me just throw some beads in there. And push them down. I didn't even choose them. The beads chose themselves. There we go. Push them in. Now, we've got some business up here that doesn't look very pretty, right? So let me get that glue, put it kind of right there, and let's glue something on the top of that. Another little bead group. All right, now let's hold it up. Looks like everything's going to stick. Right, there we go. I need a little something. I can see it. It's kind of hard for you to see. I'm going to get that a little bit of glue out there. Okay. I'm going to grab that bead, put it in the glue, and put it on there. I'm going to do a few more like that. Put it in the glue, put it on there. Put it in the glue, put it on there. Here's another one. Glue it, stick it on. Glue it, stick it on. Come on. There we go. Yeah, let's put something in the middle. Right, and let's see. Let's kind of shake this. Yeah, I think it's going to stay. We have the other half of this sequin. So let me put it over there. Okay. So let me put some glue on the back. This is where my little puddle is. This E6000, depending on where you are, is going to dry pretty quickly. Get it there. The secret is to good gluing habits is don't go too crazy with the glue. A little glue goes a long way. I like that in there. Let me see, I'm going to push out a little bit of glue, not a lot. Dip that bead, put it on. Stick it on there. Here's a good one. Put some glue on. E6000's a little stringy, but that's all right. You can pick off. Wait till the glue dries and then pick that off. Here's a 6mm fire polish that was in this group. You get some on. Maybe that's what I want in the middle. Put that right in the center. There we go. Sure. What the heck? Now I'm starting to overthink it. Can you tell? I haven't picked anything up in like 20 seconds. Here. Let me get one of these. Put it right there. Sometimes I lose my mojo and I start overthinking. That's what's happening to me right now. So I need to shake it off. Shake it off. Let's shake it off by gluing a piece of turquoise. Right there. Okay. So let me see if I can. So now what I'll do is, I think I'm going to just fill in a little more with beads here. Then I'm going to let it, I really need to let it sit. Then if I wanted to, I could come in and I could do a little covering with diamond glaze, but I don't think I'm going to need it. I may want to do some trimming. Like I'd come in here, maybe I want this to kind of stand out. So maybe I'll trim around that leaf. But over here, I think I really want all seed beads and stuff. Okay. So I'm going to get here. I'm going to just do this in portions. So here is where I put that glue. Now I'm just going to come in. Whoops, I'm off camera. Let's see if I can get it over here before this glue dries. Oh, there we go. That's better, right? Yeah. There we go. So now my glue's had time to set up for a few minutes anyway, so that's good. I'm going to get some of these small beads. I'm going to sprinkle them in. Sprinkle them in. Kind of over sprinkle. Push them in. And then shake off what hasn't glued down. If I need to add a little bit more glue there. And I might do this in layers, where I glue down like the first layer and see how that looked. And then come back in and fill in where I needed to. Sorry, I was off camera a little bit there. Let's see. There's that. Now I want to fill in right here. Here, whoops. Here, all the way maybe around here, I might trim. But this I think I want filled. Maybe I'll fill this and trim like this. So let's get a little more E6000. This would also make a great brooch. There's nothing wrong with gluing, especially if you're using the right glue for this. This E6000 is a great choice. It's really going to hold everything. Let's see how I really get everything in there. Sprinkle it on. Press it in. And then let the extras kind of fall off. Because if they fall off, they weren't adhered. I've got a sequin here. Press it in with my fingers. There's a little edge right there, so let's get that there. I'm intentionally trying to find beads that are kind of smaller, so they'll kind of fit in there, right? So I kind of go over here to where my seed beads are kind of hanging out. There we go. Now I've got this little corner to do right there. And right there. Sprinkle it on. I'm not even worrying. Press it down. There we go. So this has all been encrusted. Give it a little shake so that if anything is not down, I have just a little bit there. Then the rest of this, I think I will do, I will cut it so it kind of has that raw edge feel. So I just have this much to do. E6000, see, a small amount, not a lot. Wipe it on the side. There's that puddle. Right, and so there it is, right there. Now, here's some small beads. Sprinkle and push. If you need to, grab your tweezers and shove a bead if there's a little bald spot right there. There we go. All right. Ooh, there's a little spot on the edge. See if I can get that to stick. So a little bit of sticky glue on there. I'm going to add, and make just one more little puddle. And then I'm going to do that bead dip thing to kind of fill in. Whoops. Glue's got it. To fill in where there's a couple of bald spots. We don't want that to be. And that's much easier to dip. That's a nice bead, whatever that is. Whoops. Whatever it is, it doesn't want to be in this. But I'm going to tell it. I'm going to put that over here. Oh, sorry. Sorry, out of frame. Apologies about that. Sorry. Let me get another one. Here's one that's kind of shiny. Looks good. Yeah, just don't think about it too much. That's how I'm getting through life these days. Right? Just don't overthink it. Just roll. Here's a good one. Pick a bead out that you like. This is a good one. Dip the side. I feel like that needs a little bit of height. So I'm going to put it on there. Feel like it needs a little bit of something right there. And I think I'm going to fill that in. Maybe I'll cut that. Maybe I'll cut that part. That'll look good. Okay, so now I'm not going to worry about it. And I'll let this sit. Let me zoom out so you can kind of see the mess I have here. So yeah, I could diamond glaze this. I could. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit. The E6000 has really grabbed onto this. I feel like this, though, see how this is a little moving a little bit? I'm going to actually get some more E6000. I'm going to put it right on the back, like get a nice bit, and I'm going to put this back on. Because you didn't want that moving, right? But it doesn't matter, right? So, but back to the diamond glaze. I feel like the diamond glaze might puddle a little bit. So as of this moment, I'm going to say no. I'm going to reevaluate when this is dry. And when I mean dry, I would really let this sit overnight before I screw around with it. Right? So let me put this down. Let me get all of these little extra beads that were here. Keep them out of the glue if I can. And put them with that mix. There we go. This is everything that I've glued onto. This gets rolled up and thrown away so that I don't glue myself. I think I've managed to keep this board relatively glue-free. Let's get Frida back in here. And let's see where we are. So I feel like this will go really nicely where those squares are. Is this the short one that I cut? Where's the short tassel? It's not this one. Here it is. The short tassel I'll stitch down. Maybe it'll be kind of like it's coming from something like that. I don't know. I don't know. But the thing about glue is that it really has to sit. That if you don't let the glue cure, right, then you're going to be in trouble. That's where your glue starts to fail you. So every ounce of my being wants to come in and trim this out right now, but I can't. I cannot. I have to really let this sit. And then I'll figure out, like maybe I'll have the raw edge, like I'll put that edge up to the edge right here, and then that will be cut out. I think that'll look good, right? Kind of get it in the middle of those. But you gotta wait. This has to sit. Has to sit. Or else it's all going to end in tears. And I'll check. Once it's dry, I'll kind of like, manipulate it a little bit, see if the beads fall off a little bit. If I have to reglue some beads back on, I will. And then I can make the decision then about diamond glaze. So we'll revisit that, right? Yeah, this tassel will go over here. This will look great on the front of a bag or on the back of a jacket. If you're putting this on the back of a jacket, what you might want to do is just kind of baste it on. Something like this, I would never wash now, especially with this on here. This piece has rendered this unwashable, I think. Maybe I'll give her something like that down there. I don't know, but we'll see. But that's about as far. What this all has to do next, though this is on there, but I want to stitch everything down, right? Yeah, this is a great gluing hint, Deborah. You can use some sandpaper to sand things down if it's super shiny. Glue both surfaces and let it kind of get tacky for a minute and then adhere together. Really great tip there. Really, really great. Okay, so I hope that this has given you some good tips. Yeah, I may come in and like re-embellish this sugar skull and stuff. Like this kit comes with that butterfly. That butterfly I think would look good there. But I think before I do anything else, I'm going to stitch her down. I need to decide if I want a little bit of a backing on this too, if I want it to be a little more quilty. I could just get a piece of felt, put it on the back, and then stitch so that my stitching has a little bit of loft to it. See, like this Frida patch that I did, this has some, I don't know what I put underneath there. There's something though. Maybe I just stitched it. Maybe it's just the felt. I think there's another piece of felt underneath here. That's what gave it a little bit of this lift. Can you see that? So I could do that. I could just get a little piece of felt. This might be a little stiff, or anything. If you quilt, if you have some quilt batting or a couple of, some fabric, whatever it is, you can lay it on the back do some stitching, and it'll give your stitches a little bit of dimension. And you can see when I turn that, how that would do it. Yeah, trapunto, which means very small stitching, right? To kind of, you know, what do I want to say? It gives it kind of like a little bit of an opposite effect. So if you had like a shape here that you wanted to stand out, you'd stitch all the way around it, and that open stitch would show that shape. But yeah, so there's a lot. This would also look great added to the piece here, right? So I urge you, sign up for the bag class, right? If you haven't already, I've got glue coming out of this. I need to fix that afterwards. If you haven't, there is space, though I can see some of you have signed up even during this class or even doing this broadcast, so thank you for that. That bag class will be a great way to play around with embellishing, regardless if you get the kit, if you use materials at home, whatever, however you're going to do it. I did want to mention that next weekend, my friends, already is going to be another weekend of inspiration. It's the Great Bead Extravaganza. So I'm going to try and get kits up later or early this week. I've got all the stuff for them. I really want to make the samples so you can see them. The kits are going to be really, really great. I also have to get a little bit of rest this weekend too, but I promise you, we'll get everything done for you, though I am going to work on everyone's Frida patches. I have put a cap on it, so if you want one, grab it. I may re-release them a little bit later, but I put a cap on what I can realistically achieve right now. So those will be going out to you folks next week as well. So that's what I've got. So a big shout out, a big thank you to all of you who watch. I will take this moment to say that if you do enjoy these stitch-ins, I did want to add in that we do have a Ko-fi account, K-O-F-I. It's in our YouTube description. If at all and it's certainly not required, not mandatory, but we're always thankful, you can jump over and buy us a cup of coffee if you love this content. Other ways to get this content out is hit that like, subscribe, and notification button over on our YouTube channel. Those algos, my friends, those algorithms, it really helps other people find our channel, which is really important. You can give us a shout out anywhere on socials at beadshop.com. Any questions? I have that covered for the moment. You can hit us up at info@beadshop.com. Go join our Facebook group. Go tag us on Instagram. Check out our Pinterest pages. And of course, we always appreciate it when you jump over to beadshop.com and support us with your dollars. We appreciate that too. So, but however you support us, we are always very, very grateful for you. A big grateful shout out to all of my creative friends, including Laura, including all my buddies over at the Fresno Fiber Arts Guild, those great resources over at Authorized Vac and Sew right here in Fresno. It takes a village to create, and we are always very, very thankful for you. So thanks again. I will see you next Wednesday. I have no idea what's on the agenda. So I will see you for a live next Wednesday. Friday is the preview for the Great Bead Extravaganza preview night. Next Saturday is the Great Bead Extravaganza, the really great event. And that's what I've got for you. So thanks a lot, friends. We really, really appreciate you. Have a fantastic and creative weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.